Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of Loosely Canon, where the lore is kinda optional. As always, I am joined by Grimz,
No.
or maybe not today. And today, we are covering Metal Gear, the original from 1987. This is a game I played a lot as a kid, and getting to replay it for this was an absolute blast, so I'm really glad I get to cover this. Also, a quick side note, all of the visuals, normally we would just pull them from the game, stuff like that. This was for the NES and the MSX, so everything's kind of just a mess of pixels. So instead I grabbed concept art because it looks more like it looks more like the art style that they go with later in the series. So I ended up grabbing that instead, except for one thing, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Ready to go?
Oh.
Alright, so, Metal Gear starts off. You are playing as Solid Snake, a member of the group of Foxhound, and Foxhound's logo. Most people probably think of the fox with the knife in its mouth, but it looked a little different in the beginning. That's my rendition of it.
Nah.
Just a little different, and this is what it actually looked like originally. Special Force Group Foxhound. I don't know why it was cartoony as fuck.
Why is there Bullet Bill?
I don't know. I never figured that one out. He just kind of zooms around. So, Foxhound in the Metal Gear universe was a spec ops group of a branch of the US military. And it gives its code names based off an animal and then a personality trait. So, for example, Solid Snake. His codename is Snake, that's the animal part, and then Solid is his personality because he is still technically a rookie. And then...
Rock hard, but solid.
He makes me rock hard. Anyway, besides the point, the codename also links to rank, so the highest rank you can get would be Fox. Hence the reason it's called fucking Foxhound. And Foxhound is led by a guy named Big Boss. So we play as Solid Snake, which is this fucking dude with several heckin' cigarettes.
Uh-huh.
Whose real name is David. No last name, grew up in foster care, and joined the Green Berets as soon as he came of age, and then got recruited for Foxhound and trained by Big Boss. And this is his first mission in the Foxhound unit. His mission is to infiltrate a base called Outer Heaven. They sent another person in named Gray Fox, and he got captured. So our mission is to find him, free him, and to locate any intel we can on a weapon they have there, known as Metal Gear. So,
Alright, roll credits.
roll credits, name drops, title card. You can't beat him, there you go. Anyway, entering the area, there's POWs in the base because there's a resistance group that has been trying to deal with Outer Heaven. It's just a giant facility of mercenaries, basically, spanning 3 separate buildings across a massive fucking plain in, I think, Africa. So there's POWs, and part of the game is rescuing them. One of them tells us that Gray Fox is captured and he is in a secret cell. The only way to get to him is to get captured yourself, which seems kind of counterintuitive. One of the areas you can go to early on, this game's kind of open world, which is funny to think about, because you never go back to the first area. If you investigate the roof, it's extremely windy, so the only way to deal with that is to have something heavy, like an EOD suit, which you will get later. And further along, we do find an area where we can get captured and thrown into a prison. The next cell over is Gray Fox's, because they found us, and us being a member of Foxhound and not just the Resistance, they throw us into the same area where the special prisoners, quote-unquote, are at. and Gray Fox tells us about what Metal Gear is. It's a bipedal tank that is armed with a nuclear warhead, and the idea behind it is if an ICBM can be launched and fired anywhere in the world, but if that gets overrun, well, you have one of these things strutting their stuff around, and that can fire one to anywhere in the world as well. So it's basically a backup plan that is very heavily armed.
Huh.
Yes. They kind of do away with the nukes in later games. As far as I know, this one and the one in the second game are the only ones that are actually capable of firing nuclear warheads. But the only person who knows how to stop this Metal Gear is the guy who made it, named Dr. Madnar. After escaping the prison cell, we run into a guy named Shotmaker, who tries to kill you. He's a guard. And after recovering your equipment, you just kill him and move on. All of the bosses in this game are a joke, except for, like, the last two. A little further along, and we run more prisoners. All the prisoners tell you stuff. You get radio calls, stuff like that. One of the prisoners tells you that if you want to get to the inner courtyard, you would need to parachute down from the roof, which was windy. After acquiring a bomb blast suit and an enemy uniform, which will come in handy later, I am sure, we can make our way up to the roof and wander around a little, poke around. You'll find a parachute, a mine-detecting device, and a Hind-D. What's a Russian gunship doing here? You parachute down to the inner courtyard, and to the south there's two trucks, one of which has ammunition, the other one will take you back to the entry. I definitely didn't do that. I did. Because I forgot which truck was which, and it doesn't fucking tell you. I just got in, and then, uh-oh, truck have started to move, and I'm back at the beginning. So I had to go back around and do the fucking maze again.
Nice.
Fun. Oh, I literally, it happened, and I set my controller down, I was just like, fuck's sake. Alright. Controller back up, let's go. So, Dr. Madnar was originally held in the first building, but after going the right direction, we find a prisoner who tells us that he had been transferred to the second building, which is located to the north. So, after heading north, we end up in a guard checkpoint, and they are aware of members of Foxhound in the area. Like, they're aware there's more than just Gray Fox, and then now one of those fuckers are loose somewhere. So, they're aware of infiltration tactics, but they're not aware of maybe he has one of our uniforms, because you can put that on and just stroll right by, and they're just like, alright, whatever, you're good to go. After heading into the second building and sneaking around and poking around, in the basement we find Dr. Madnar, except it's a fake, because they knew we'd be coming for him, so they dressed someone up like him who tries to open a trapdoor under us and kill us. A little further. The enemies in this one are a lot smarter than the enemies in later Metal Gear games. In later ones, they're fucking dumbasses. But in this one, like, all their traps and shit actually make sense. Most of the time. After finding the real Dr. Madnar, he tells us that he won't do anything until his daughter is rescued, and his daughter is back in the first building. Because this game has a lot of backtracking because they want to pad hours.
Yay. Back to the beginning.
Oh, back to the beginning. I wish I had that fucking wrong truck now. That's the way the games were, though, because, you know, back in the NES era, you only have so much space on the cartridge. You can only do so much with every area. Heading into the, oh, I almost forgot. Gray Fox. I can't believe I forgot about this. Gray Fox is just kind of a dude. He's just kind of a wounded dude. And that's the reason he doesn't, like, help you out, is because he suffered a traumatic head wound or something. I think he's lying. Rations heal everyone. Heading back to the first building. Where in my notes is this? We find an empty cell where someone is crying for help, which is weird because, you know, it's an empty cell. But if you blow up the wall, you can get into the cell next door, which has no door. They literally threw her in and bricked up the wall so she won't be able to fucking escape. Because, you know, I'm sure this scientist's random... Yeah, wall. I'm sure this scientist's daughter is an expert at escape, but after saving her, she tells you that they're forcing Dr. Madnar, her father, to build Metal Gear, and that we need to go back to him now, through whatever maze he's through. Getting back to the second building and running through a gauntlet full of traps, we get a call on our radio from a woman named Diane, who tells us to look out for traps, after we just ran past the traps. Thanks. Dr. Madnar, after rescuing him again, because he tied himself back up. After you rescue him and run to save his daughter and go back, he is tied up again. Because they only have a couple sprites to work with. Yeah, I don't know if someone else came in, like, watched Solid Snake leave and was like, I better fucking tie that scientist back up. Or what the hell happened. But he's tied up again. Maybe he did it to himself.
Okay.
Dr. Madnar's into some shit. So you go in, you save him. And Dr. Madnar...
Well, he did create a walking nuke.
Yeah, so. He's a bit of a weirdo. He's not the original creator of Metal Gear. We'll get into the guys who had the ideas for this shit later in this series. Because this is technically the... Metal Gear 1 is technically or chronologically, like, the 4th game in the series. I think. Or maybe it's 6th. I don't know. Either way. Doesn't matter. These games are all kinds of out of order. But for the most part in this, it's going to be in order. Thank God. But Dr. Madnar tells us that Metal Gear is located in the 3rd building in a bunker 100 floors beneath, like, ground level. And that it does have a weakness, and it's the legs. In his designs, because he designed it and basically made sure the computers worked, but they're the ones armoring it up and following his blueprints for it. In his blueprints, he made it so the leggies are very, very susceptible to explosives, which you would think they would have checked, but I guess they just kind of trust him, because they're like, he is building a nuclear fire robot for us. That's kind of cool, right? So we'll be able to blow those up using C4. After using a compass, we find to navigate the desert, we get to the 3rd building's entrance, and it is an all-out assault, and we are the goddamn target. There is 7 trucks firing at us, a door which soldiers are pouring out of and firing at us. We are great at stealth, which is the whole point of this game, is sneaking around. So we also get a call, and Big Boss, our good old leader of Foxhound, tells us that we need to get in the truck on the right. Don't do that. He'll try to kill you. I don't know why he was wrong about which truck to get in, but don't get in any of the trucks. Just go in the front door. So you go through the front door. Thank God. And he goes, okay, my last call might have been wrong. You shouldn't have gotten in the truck. That was a good call. You know what, Solid Snake? Good call. Don't go in the truck. Bad truck. Instead, how about you go in the door on your left? Don't go in the door on your left. It will kill you. And also, why would I go through the door on the left? According to the blueprints, the elevator to the 100th floor is behind the wall in front of me. So I'm going to blow up that wall and go that way instead, which is what you're supposed to do. If you go through the door on your left, I believe it's just a trap-filled hallway and it tries to kill you. I don't like that Big Boss was wrong about that twice in a row. That rat bastard. Maybe he's just senile with old age. Heading down to the basement, Big Boss tells us that... Big Boss calls us again, and he tells us, listen, you're just a rookie. This is a very dangerous assignment. You should pull out now, take whatever intel you got, just leave, and we'll send more people in to deal with it. Which sounds like a good plan.
Boss. My pull-out game's strong. I can wait till the last second.
Yeah, well, it's also a weird point, because Gray Fox is their best agent, and that fucker got captured. And our mission was to save him, which we did. And now you're telling me we should leave? That don't make sense. I think Big Boss is just getting senile.
But definitely nothing going on there.
No, not at all. I'm definitely not looking at the next page. Anyway, in the basement, we aren't able to actually progress any further because all the doors down here are, to the surprise of absolutely no one actually, locked with the highest level of security. I wonder why. It's almost like they have a giant metal tank that fires nukes down here and they want to keep that shit locked down. We do manage to find, however, an oxygen tank, which will allow us to swim through sewage, which is not a fun time, but it will let us do it, and that'll help us get to the 8th keycard. But that's back in the 2nd building, and we're in the 3rd building, which means we have to go all the way back across the desert, including the people who shot at us. They did not actively pursue, by the way. You walked in the building and they went, well, guess he's gone, and then you walked back out the building and they just opened fire again. Love this game. And the resistance leader calls us when we get back to the 2nd building. And he goes, hey, I just found out who the leader of Outer Heaven is. You gotta hear this. And then he gets caught on the radio. We'll never fucking know. He's just gone. And after securing the 8th keycard, we get back to Building 3, head back into the basement, and actually find the leader of the Resistance down there. They grabbed him and I guess threw him in a cell like, he's not gonna, Solid Snake's not gonna come back here. He left. He went out the front door. We all saw it. And Solid Snake comes back and they're all like, ah shit, why did we listen to that guy? We then find out the leader of Outer Heaven is the same leader as Foxhound. It's Big Boss.
Dun dun dun.
Dun. Yeah. Wow. Never saw it coming. I say never saw it coming. This shit blew my mind as a kid. I was like, what do you mean Big Boss is the bad guy? That doesn't make sense. Big Boss is a good guy. He's the one who leads. Because I was a dumb child. So we head into the next room. And we find the Metal Gear. And here is what that looks like. Sort of. That's the Metal Gear. And then concept art, and then I actually did grab the in-game picture because it's the most detailed sprite in the game.
That reminds me of something from this thing too.
Does it?
Yeah. Let me grab an image.
I also grabbed the in-game picture so I could better explain how the boss fight goes. Oh yeah, that kind of does have the same like profile.
Yeah.
Interesting. What's that enemy called?
Call it Brig.
Brig. That's an interesting name. So this is the TX55 Metal Gear. It doesn't have a fancy code name like all the rest of the Metal Gears because it's a prototype here. The plan was build one of these, make sure it works, then roll out a bunch of them. Unfortunately, we're here to stop that plan. And you don't actually fight the Metal Gear, which is good, because as you can see from the picture, this thing's armed with a trio of Vulcan cannons, twin barrel nuke launcher, and a bunch of like en-suite weapons packaging. If this thing if they had actually put a pilot in this, you'd be screwed. And this boss fight is actually absent from the NES version of the game. In the NES version, you walk into the room, and it's just a computer unit that is doing the boot sequence for Metal Gear, and you blow that up instead. So, if you look at the picture of the in-game image, those two little things above it, the little like gray boxes, those are security cameras that fire lasers. So they kind of fire lasers at you, and you gotta dodge them while planting C4 at its feet in a certain order. You don't actually fight the Metal Gear. It's basically in the boot stages, and then, you know, it doesn't. It's this boss fight and the next boss fight don't suck, except I kind of broke the next boss fight. So I'll talk about that in a second. But this is not the first Metal Gear. This is, I think, the third one that's been made. The first one was called Metal Gear D, or Metal Gear Delta, and that was made in, I believe, the Peace Walker incident. I don't know if I'm going to cover Metal Gear Peace Walker. I've actually never played that one. But this one's a prototype for the one that is in the second game, Metal Gear 2, which I will talk about in a future video. And I actually love this one's design. It's compared to what some of the other ones look like, it's just... This one just screams mech to me. And also 80s. Like, I don't think I could see another mech. Like, if I did not know what Metal Gear was, and you showed me a picture of this thing and was like, guess what year that was designed in? There's no doubt I'd be like, I don't know, sometime in the 80s. Like, that just screams it to me.
Yeah.
And so we plant the C4 at its feet while getting shot at by lasers, which is not a fun time. Blow the stupid thing up. And the, the stupid cameras there, people were watching on and trying to shoot us and whatever. And they see we just blew up their giant mech, and they go, you know what? You know what's really gonna get this little guy? This little rat bastard rookie who just broke into our base and took out all our defenses and our giant nuke launching tank? Let's just blow up the entire facility. And they set off the self-destruct. And this is the only point in the game where you can use the items, the cigarette, which Solid Snake starts with in every game. And what it does is it gives you an extra 1,000 whatever ticks. His old in-game clocks were never actually accurate, but it gives you another 1,000 units of whatever time system it's running off of. And that is the only time in the game you can ever use the cigarettes. And in the next room, a familiar voice rings out. Solid Snake, I've been expecting you. It's Big Boss. He is not happy that we, blew up his mech. He's not happy that we infiltrated his fucking place successfully. He didn't even think we would get to Grey Fox, but here we are. He wanted to use us to fool the rest of the world. His plan was basically have us cause enough chaos while just trying to find Grey Fox's cell. That
He wanted us to be the man who sold the world?
He is the man who sold the world. I actually had a joke for that and I forgot about it. My original plan was to say you walk into the next room and you're face to face with the man who sold the world, but I forgot to say it. Because I'm stupid. Oh, I do have a picture of Big Boss. Or Big Bobs. Big Boss. Sort of. And then that's his concept art. Big Boss. He's an eye patch. He fun. But he wants to use us, a rookie, to fool the rest of the world into basically leaving him alone. He wanted to cause enough chaos here that every other military nation would see what happened at Outer Heaven and go, okay, don't do anything, because they have fucking nukes. But then, we blew up his nukes, so that plan backfired. And he goes, I'm not going down alone. I'm taking you with me. Prepare to die. And what's supposed to happen is it's supposed to be like this hardcore fight to the death between you and Big Boss, the guy who trained you. What actually happened is I managed to get him stuck on level geometry and just spammed rockets into him and he just died. Which was awesome, because it made this fight that I know I had trouble with every time I played this game as a kid. It made this fight take like 30 seconds, if that. And I was just like, cool, run out, escape. And after that, Operation N313, as it was called, is a success. And the world now knows that Foxhound was led by a traitor. And that's gonna get swept under the rug. I'm sure, because it's the American military. No one's ever gonna know. It'll have a new command at some point, I'm sure. And as you are leaving, one last radio transmission comes through. And it says, I'm not really dead, and I will get even with you. I wonder who that could be. Anyway, that is Metal Gear. That is the credits roll. That happens. You get graded based on how many rations you ate, because rations heal all wounds in Metal Gear. And that is it. That is where the game ends. It's not a very long game, admittedly. but it is one of my favorites of all time. I love it to pieces. I will always love this series to pieces, even when it pisses me off, which it does. Can't wait to talk about Metal Gear Solid 2. That game pisses me off in points. So yeah, that is the entirety, or most of the entirety, I guess, of Metal Gear 1. And next time on Loosely Canon, Grimz, what are you going to be covering?
I am going to do Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr.
Very cool. Can't wait to see it. Thank you all for watching. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Hey everyone, Future Eclipse here. Now I know I said earlier in the video that a lot of the boss fights are kind of... they suck. They're not very well put together. Most of them are fairly straightforward. But I didn't really go into any depth on most of them. So here you go, a little compilation of all the bosses in the game. Enjoy!